Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. We have lots of great information to bring you. My name is Aretha Higgins, and I am the Senior Housing Counselor with Dallas Habitat. And I'm excited to be here this week as we celebrate the month of April, Financial Literacy Month. And with me, I have Miss Kelly Calderon, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself and give you a little information, as she's going to be co-hosting with me today. Go ahead, Kelly.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Kelly Calderon. I am the owner of the Smart Money Academy. So I teach personal finance for kids and teens. My background, I was a classroom teacher for 20 years. So lots of experience working with kids and making things understandable for them, things that might be hard, right?
Right.
And also my background in personal finance, or my connection to personal finance, is the fact that my husband and I had to dig ourselves out of a really bad financial hole. And we learned a lot in that process. And so I had an opportunity there to kind of bring my two passions of personal finance and teaching together in the Smart Money Academy.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and dive right in, okay? So experts agree that the earlier that you teach children about managing money, the better. And by doing it one step at a time, by introducing age-appropriate good money habits, that our children is going to build a solid, financial foundation. And so this is what this is all about today. All of our segments today are about educating the young children, getting them started early, so they don't make the same mistakes that we as adults make in life. We want them to do much better and be financially independent. So with that being said, my first question for you today is, how can we help our kids determine the value and meaning of money?
Yeah, this is so important. So the crux of them understanding the value of money and the meaning of it is for them to use cash. In our society, we want to go so quickly to virtual money and using cards and things like that, but that really loses the meaning for them. It's almost like asking them to understand the water cycle, but they've never seen it rain.
Mhm.
So we really need them to be using cash. Take that cash to the store, exchange it for a toy that they want or something, and then they get to see, oh, this is how money works. I give up money, I get something back. And so that will really give them a stronger foundation of how money works and what it's for.
Okay, I like that. So basically, we should be engaging them in the financial activities that we're doing. Take them along.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially to the bank, a place we don't go to very often anymore, right? But if you take them, because it looks very intimidating. So we need to take them as often as possible, take away that intimidation factor. And so that when they're ready to go to the bank, or when they, are of age, they won't be so intimidated to go in, to ask questions, to talk to people that they need to talk to.
Wow, that's good. Thank you. Um, so, and I know a lot of people think, okay, well, I don't need to talk to my child that's 3 or 4 about money. But at what age should we begin talking with our children about money?
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as they start asking. And so if they're asking you to buy stuff for them, or if they're asking you, what is that stuff in your wallet, or what are these coins for? They really can understand some basic concepts at a very, very young age. I would say as soon as they're asking for stuff and they're old enough to not put it in their mouth, then they should be able to have the opportunity to start earning some money. Pick up your toys and I'll give you 50 cents, or help mommy put the clothes in the dryer, that sort of thing. And then they start to understand that concept of, we work for money, then we can save up that money and then take it to the store to use it for something that we want or need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I found this very interesting because I was doing a little research on this. It says children as young as age 3 years old understand basic economic concepts, and by age 7, kids have developed permanent financial habits. So, this is a good time to start explaining the material goods and cost of money to children. And I thought that was interesting, at 3 years old. So, as a parent, you're thinking, I shouldn't, be doing anything with them with money, but the earlier, the better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And some kids are much more open to that than others. You're going to need to read your child. Like I had one child that was very much interested in money, and the other one not so much. So we just waited with him until he was a little more interested. But you can gauge your child's interest, and as soon as they're interested, it's a great time to leverage that interest and start teaching them things.
Okay, good. So How can we encourage our kids to recognize the importance not only of spending and saving, but also investing for the future and giving back?
Yeah. I think a great way to do this is just to show them the power of investing. So if you explain to them how compound interest works, and there's a lot of resources on the internet, like if you look up a penny a day doubled, okay, and it talks about how if we took a penny and we doubled that, the next day it doubles to 2, and the
Mhm.
next day it doubles to 4. Well, all at day 30, it's at $5 million, over $5 million. And so obviously that's not going to happen in real life, but if you could show them how powerful compound interest is, then that's very exciting for them to leverage that and show, and using the term passive income, this is money you don't have to work for. It's
Mhm.
income that you made in your sleep. That is very exciting. As far as giving back, I just think that it's about being involved in your community, right? They see people in need, and talking to them about what's that person need, and how can we help them, and what is it going to cost to help them. I have talked to some kids who are a little bit maybe nervous about saying that they want to make a lot of money. They're like, I don't want to make a lot of money. I just want to help a lot of people. That's amazing. But
Yeah,
you have to have money to help people, right? And
exactly.
so we need to be talking to them too. Like, that is an amazing goal. Here's how you can make a lot of money in order to help a lot of people.
Right, right. And and what I've done with my children when when they were younger and stuff, I would take them and we would do things as far as like, going to like a soup kitchen or something during the holidays or something. And just explain to them the reason why we were doing that and allowing them to be able to see someone maybe less fortunate. And I know that today that is something that they enjoy doing still. So even when they were so little, I instilled that in them and they continue to keep that going on. So I think those are ways to just going and volunteering at a place.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. And when you're volunteering, you can also be talking to them too about where did the money for the food come from?
Mhm.
And that came through donations and things like that. And so it all ties together. We need people volunteering, we need people donating, and we need people doing both.
Yes, everybody working together, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So saving for the future, that can be hard, even as adults. But what are some ways that we can encourage our kids to foster delayed gratification by saving?
Yeah, absolutely. And this, I would say, is the number one skill needed for good, strong money management in the future. And so the more that we can instill this in our kids now, the better. One way I suggest really young kids, a clear jar so that they can see their money growing. And in that jar, we're going to put, instead of putting 4 quarters to the bottom, right? Because we know little kids, they're all about volume, right? So put
Right.
a dollar bill in there crumpled up. Every time they get a dollar bill, crumple up so that it looks bigger. That's really exciting to them to see their money growing. $3 at the bottom of jar and quarters versus $3 built up is much more visual to them.
Mhm.
Um, as we get a little bit older, maybe a chart that they color in, kind of like the old thermometer, right? When there was fundraising and they would color in the thermometer to help them get to a goal. So we're going to help them set a goal. Maybe there's a toy they want to buy or something, and it needs to be an exciting goal. Nobody wants to save just to save, right?
Right.
That does not sound exciting at all. So we need to help them find a goal, something they are saving for, and then give them that visual chart to help remind them, of their progress to get there. Maybe a picture of what they're saving for to help them remember. Lots of things like that. And then lastly, if it's a really big purchase, I would suggest a matching program. Such as, like, my teenager was saving up for a car and we offered to match him on whatever he saved up
Yeah.
to a certain limit. He's a saver. He could have gotten us into a lot of trouble. So we had to put a limit on that, but that was very exciting to him because he knew, every dollar he saved was essentially 2.
Yes.
And so that really helped to motivate him. But yes, that is definitely a muscle that we want to help them to flex as much as possible while they're young.
Yes, I like that. I like the matching part, because I know that that is a good incentive, right? Even as adults, that's a great incentive for us. And one thing that I also heard, as far as helping with this is even like when kids are little, just teaching them to be patient when it comes to, just waiting on things, because we live in this world, right, where we want everything quick, quick, quick. And we get in a lot of trouble, especially financially, because we want it quick. But if you train your child up and teach them that skill of developing patience and just waiting for it, setting those goals and saving for something, or waiting for something, whether that's waiting for a snack, or something like that, or waiting for dinner, you're training them to wait, delayed gratification, which you said yourself, that's the number one skill for great financial health. So, you have to start with the little things first. So I love those little tidbits. Thank you. All right. So do you recommend that kids use cash or cards? And what do you think about the envelope method for kids?
Absolutely, cash, hands down. And I'll tell you a few reasons why. First of all, like I said before, is that they really need that concrete connection with money. They are not ready to abstractly understand that this card has money tied to it somewhere in a bank. And, they're developmentally not ready to understand this stuff till they're about 12.
Okay.
And so we're going to try to give them, just like when they're learning to count, right? We give them blocks or pennies or something physical to count, right? Same idea with money. We want them to handle physical money to learn how to do that. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of your question. Oh, cash or card. Okay, sorry. So using the other part of that is that this is very interesting, but science experiments have shown that when we use cash, we actually trigger a pain receptor in our brain. It physically hurts us, now not to a great extent, but it physically hurts to spend cash. That does not happen with cards. And why is that important? Well, because if it doesn't hurt to spend, then we're going to overspend, right? And the value of something is found in the pain of its loss. You think about, how much you love your pet. You would be devastated if you lost them, because you value them a lot. And so that's really how value is built through them, is understanding that pain of not necessarily losing it, but, spending it in exchange for something, and that, okay, I'm giving this up, but yes, it's worth it to get this. And so I definitely encourage cash as much as possible. Older kids can definitely move into cards. I would say early teens. We even held my son off until he had a job, and then he got his first debit card, truly tied to a bank. We didn't do the green light cards or anything like that. I think those were great for some families. There are some caveats tied to that, like there are monthly fees and things like that. So again, I would really avoid cards and virtual money until they are mid-teens. I think 14, 15, somewhere in there.
All right. And again, what do you think about the envelope method for young kids?
The envelope method is amazing. That is how my husband and I paid off $80,000 of debt. It is very powerful. Yes, I would never doubt the power of that system. And I think that it's great for reshaping your spending habits. We no longer use the envelope system. But it definitely served us in shaping those habits while we were doing that. And so I think that's great for kids. We have some kids that are very natural savers and some kids who are very natural spenders. And there are good and bad of each, believe it or not. I mean, we want to say, yay, they're a saver. But the fact is that if we don't encourage them to enjoy some of their money, that they can become very miserly, right?
Right.
And then obviously we know the pitfall with spenders is that they fail to save. And so I think the envelope system would be a really good gauge, to help develop both of those habits on either side.
Okay, thank you. All righty. So what if we as adults are working to get our own financial house in order? How can we help our kids avoid making some of the same mistakes we've made, even while resolving our own challenges?
Absolutely. So this is where my journey with money started, is that we were making all the mistakes and wanted to make sure our kids didn't. And so we were very open with our kids about the mistakes we had made, how we got into trouble, how we got out of trouble, what we were learning, where we were learning it. And so the conversation around money is very open in our house. but it's hard. I mean, it was very uncomfortable at the beginning for me because there was a lot of shame around the situation that we had gotten ourselves into. I was raised that you don't talk to kids about money. And so I had to push through some of that uncomfortableness and, understand that that's what was going to have to happen for my kids to not follow in my footsteps.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Kids, they look at us as parents, and like you said, if they see us doing something bad or going down a bad path, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna, follow in our footsteps. So I appreciate you, just kind of, you know, explaining your story and how you dug out of it, and then the steps that you took to make sure that your kids don't go down that same path.
Absolutely. And the other fear, I think, is that they're going to call us out, right? So I
Right.
say to my kids, I'm trying to save for X whatever. And then I go out to dinner one night and they're like, I thought you were saving, Mom, right? And so we have to be willing to be accountable for our actions. And, there might be some conversation around there about the fact that we're not perfect and we make mistakes too, but there's definitely an accountability factor there.
Definitely, which is always good. So what are some resources that exist to support parents with talking to kids about money?
I think the the best place to start is with ourselves. I was definitely not ready to talk to my kids about money until I understood more about my money story, my money beliefs, and feelings, and had to get through a lot of that. So I would say a couple of my favorites is a book called Happy Money by Ken Honda. That really taught me the appreciation of spending money, of paying bills, if you will. So what his practice is he says thank you to money when it comes in, which we could all do easily, right? It feels great when the money comes in. But he also says thank you to the money as it goes out. Thank you for the opportunity to pay my water bill and keep the water running, right?
Right.
Thank you for the opportunity to pay my cell phone bill. And so it really helped me to come to terms with, instead of being gripey about paying bills, about, being grateful.
Mhm.
The other one is called The Latte Factor by David Bach, B-A-C-H. This one taught me a lot about just basic money management, like the power of investing and budgeting and being very aware of our spending. And what I love about this book is that it's written in a narrative form. It's not, sit down and learn about budgeting. It's you're reading a story about a girl who's or a woman, I'm sorry, who's going through the process of learning how to get her own finances in order. And in the process of reading her story, I learned a lot about my own story. And so I found that book to be very powerful, because it's written at a very basic level. It's very enjoyable to read. The author keeps it, does not talk over your head. And so those two things kind of gave me tools then to talk to my own kids in similar ways.
Okay. Those are some good resources, sounds like. So I have to check those out. Now, we also have PocketWise Prep, and it's our financial education program for children. PocketWise Prep is available to DISD students in certain campuses across the city. Okay. So it's not available, to all students, but the DISD students and in certain campuses. It's available in English and Spanish. And if any parents out there are online right now, you're interested in seeing if your school offers this, you can reach out to your child's teacher or to the principal. It's just one of those that addresses financial concepts and social emotional learning skills that create financial health, as well as it's very interactive. The games immerse students in real life scenarios, and they just teach all kinds of financial skills. So it's a great product, and we have so many schools in the Dallas district that are trying to sign up for it. So if your school is not on the list, like, again, talk to the teachers, talk to the principals, tell them to ask about it. It's called PocketWise Prep. Okay. So another good resource for young kids. And so one thing that I am a big advocate for is for financial education to be taught in the schools. And there's so many schools that don't teach it, or it's been tossed out. I was reading lately that's, it was some schools are trying to bring it back, which I think is very important. I think that parents really need to advocate for it. Even as young as kindergarten, there are things that can be taught when it comes down to money, because if you take a little kid that's 5 years old and you show them money, maybe a nickel or a dime, and you ask them, which one do they want? 9 times out of 10, a child that young, they're going to pick the nickel. Why? Because that nickel is bigger. And so in their eyes, they're thinking, okay, I want this one. I want that nickel over this dime because the nickel is bigger. And so there's an avenue right there where you can teach them the value of the nickel and the value of the dime. So, I just think that starting younger is the best. So I just wanted to kind of get your take on that. What are your thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say, as a classroom teacher, I did see a lot of that happening, teaching kids the value of money. Even in kindergarten, I saw a lot of those lessons, and I see school districts adding in personal finance more and more. And it seems like every year I'm hearing about another state that's now requiring personal finance for high school graduation, which is wonderful. So yeah, I agree though. The younger, the better. And then, yes, we need some personal finance in high school for sure, to be talking about money management, budgeting, saving, and the pitfalls of credit cards. So
Yes.
all of those things would be really vital.
Yes. And it's so hard. It's so easy for young kids, especially college students, to get credit cards. And I'm just like, these kids don't even have jobs. How they getting credit cards? Because they're depending on mom and dad to take care of that bill.
Yeah.
When it rolls in. So, yes, definitely learning about the pitfalls of credit cards. You have to learn how to, it's okay to have them, but learn how to use them wisely so they can benefit you, and so I'd like to see if we have any questions from anyone out in the audience, any questions that came through the chat. Let me check here and see. And I know we have, I believe, Porfirio Coronado on here checking for me. Right now, we don't have any questions. You all don't have any questions for Ms. Kelly? Somebody just said, I just want in on the books. So they're loving that information on those books. Thank you, Lavonda. I agree. Yes, we have to go out and get those books.
Can I just jump in with some, I have what I call the CASH program for parents. And this is the way I want them to help. This is what I give them to help remember what they need to do with their kids and money. Okay. CASH, it's an acronym. So C stands for choices. Remember that money management is all about making good choices, and our kids don't understand why we make the choices that we make. So If you're in the store and you decide to not buy something or to buy something, give them a peek inside your head. What's going on, why you made that choice or why you didn't. They need to understand that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. A, access to money. They need to be able to have that opportunity to earn money, save money, spend money, and make mistakes with money. You would much rather they make their mistakes when they're young than when they're older with their rent money. So give them the opportunity. That S is savings. We talked about the importance of savings. And I would say lastly is H, honest conversations. This one's tough. As they get older and into their teen years, we need to be having really brutally honest conversations about money. We share our bill information with our kids so that they understand how much does it cost to have this lifestyle that we have and pay for this house that we have and all of that stuff. And then that way they can match that information with any career choices that they're looking at. Is this career going to give me the amount of money that I need to have the lifestyle that I want? And so as uncomfortable as it is, those honest conversations are super important.
Yes, I like that. I really do. I think I couldn't agree more with you about involving kids with your, stuff financially at home, because they need to see, yes, we have these nice things, but we do have bills and things that we have to pay. And this is what we have coming in. This is what we have to pay going out. And it helps them so much. And it's going to teach them to be financially savvy and just financially healthy overall. So thank you so much for coming to us and bringing just a wealth of knowledge so we can just help our kids be better than us. Be better.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. We love it. Like I said, we hope to have you again, you know, sometime in the near future. And again, just thank you so much. And with that being said, if we don't have any questions in the chat, and it does not look like we do, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up and thank everybody for joining us. And we do not want you to forget about it. We have classes again tomorrow starting at 10. So be sure to join Dallas Habitat. This is going on all the way to Friday. Again, Financial Literacy Week for Financial Literacy Month. Our job and our goal is just to educate you on a wealth of topics to make sure that you can be your best self. And we do appreciate you for joining us midday. I know a lot of you are probably working and maybe took your lunch to join us, and we thank you all so much. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you, Kelly. Bye.
Bye.